Since Washington crossed the Delaware at Christmas in 1776, American troops have missed holidays at home to defend our experiment in democracy. To all you lads and lasses holding the line in 2018, on land, at sea, or in the air, thanks for keeping the faith. Merry Christmas, and may God hold you safe.
That was part of outgoing Secretary of Defense James Mattis's holiday message to U.S. troops, which was recorded just one day before he submitted his resignation. With us now is a member of the Armed Services Committee, Democratic Congressman Anthony Brown of Maryland. He's a retired colonel in the U.S. Army Reserve, and he earned a Bronze Star for his service in Iraq. Congressman, thanks so much for being with us, and why don't we just start there in that region. As someone who was part of a long, tough, bloody war, we remember during the campaign Donald Trump blaming our withdrawal from Iraq for inventing ISIS. Are you concerned that his speedy unilateral withdrawal from Syria could actually allow a rebirth of that terror organization?
Certainly. I mean, this was quite a dramatic development when last week, by tweet, President Trump announced that we're going to withdraw troops from Syria. There's no indication that this is the product of a thoughtful, deliberative process among the national security team that has led to this result. It seems as if it was based on a telephone call with the Turkish president, and it just raises a lot of questions. So whether you agree with the withdrawal or not, it raises questions such as, is ISIS really defeated, and what criteria are you using to reach that conclusion? But other questions like, do we continue with U.S. airstrikes, which have been effective in that region? What about support to the war-torn towns and cities? We did get our coalition partners to fund those efforts. Will they continue to fund those efforts going forward? And then, of course, what is the fate of our Kurdish allies on the ground, who we relied on? They gave a lot of themselves. And when we withdraw, what happens to them?
Yeah. Gene Robinson's with us. Gene?
Congressman, it's a question. The new Congress will meet and convene in a few days, really. And so what will the new Democratic majority in the House that you'll be a part of do to hold the president accountable for this erratic foreign policy moves and their potential consequences?
Certainly. So we will reestablish our rightful role as the Article I institution that the founders created. Congress has an oversight responsibility. So we'll be providing that oversight, calling in administration officials to account for decisions in Syria, the pending withdrawal of troops in Afghanistan. We're going to be doing things like holding hearings on deployments of active duty personnel to the southwest border, the results, the impact, the continued impact of separation of families at the border. So there's a host of issues that we'll be able to press the administration on and hold them accountable using the power, the inherent power that Congress has that the Republicans have abdicated, and that's oversight of the administration.
Rick Tyler's with us and has a question. Rick.
Congressman, before you can do all that, what's your prediction on how the shutdown resolves itself?
Look, this is in the president's lap. It continues to be in the president's lap. The president has the ability to open government. All he has to do is tell Speaker Ryan that he'll sign the very same bill that the Senate originally passed, unanimous consent, voice vote, Democrats and Republicans. And if the president doesn't do that, then come January 3rd, when the when the Democrats resume the majority in the House, then we'll open the government. We'll send to the Senate a bill that has some border security, but it continues government until February 8th, and we're going to force the president's hand. He's going to have to sign it.
Susan Del Percio.
Congressman, normally before a shutdown, we have a lot of preparation. We hear, there's clocks 3 days until the shutdown, but this came out of nowhere. It also seems that the government was nowhere close to preparing for this shutdown. Can you just explain how, besides the employees that aren't getting paid, how services are affected to everyday Americans, like HHS not being fully operational, Homeland Security, etc.?
Sure. So we know that about a full quarter, 25% of federal government continues to be shut down. These are food inspectors. These are custom inspectors at the Port of Baltimore and other places. They're also federal contractors. These are the men and women that are janitors in buildings. They're security. They provide a lot of the technological support to federal agencies. The federal contractors, they probably won't get paid retroactively. Federal government employees, sure. There's talk about retroactive pay. That's what we typically have seen in the past. But under the Trump administration, everything is just so unpredictable that, you know, there's a risk that federal government employees themselves won't get paid after this shutdown.
All right. Congressman Anthony Brown, thank you so much for being with us this morning. And more importantly, thank you so much for your service to our country in both war and peace. We appreciate it so much.
Happy New Year.
All right, and coming up next, more on the State of the Union under Donald Trump. The government is shut down until, well, who knows when. Also, tragically, another migrant child dies in U.S. custody on Christmas Day. And U.S. stocks are struggling to bounce back from their Christmas Eve plunge. There are a lot of middle-class Americans with retirement accounts that hope that happens soon. Morning Joe is coming right back.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.